Well, the alliance is official, and it does not include the Big 12. So where does the league go now? Most look toward expansion, and that is being discussed internally. We've found out from the reporting of Max Olson of The Athletic, but it is much more complicated than it would appear on the surface. Welcome into the channel. I am John Kurtz. If you have not subscribed yet, please do consider clicking subscribe. If you're a college football fan, talking college football every single day here. Right now, that means conference realignment every single day, as I aim to give the Big 12 a voice in a time when it does not have much of one. Please like and comment on the video as well. All of that stuff really does help me out. Today, I'm coming to you in the aftermath of the alliance becoming official. As many jokes as you want to get off about the alliance, you can do that. That's fine, and I think a lot of that is warranted. It seemed very much more about bark than bite in the end for the ACC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12. And they did talk some about the Big 12, and these will be quotes that will make you very angry if you're a Big 12 fan, because we see stuff like this from Jim Phillips of the ACC. We want and need the Big 12 to do well. The Big 12 matters in college athletics. The Big 12 matters in Power 5 athletics in our FBS group. We'll be watching what occurs here. Okay. Thanks, Jim. How about including the Big 12 in the alliance? That would have been a nice way to back up those platitudes. But Phillips later told The Athletic that the three commissioners feel strongly about doing whatever they can to help the league during this turbulent period. However, there's too much uncertainty with the state of the Big 12 right now to actually add them to the alliance. Okay, fair enough. I understand the instability part and piece of that, but it makes it all the more infuriating that you had Kevin Warren going on and on about Bob Bowlesby and Jim Phillips saying, hey, they're really important. Just save it. Just save it. We know what's happening. You're trying to keep the Big 12 out of the Cool Kids Club, and that has a lot of financial ramifications, all right? So just chill with that. But now what does the Big 12 do? Everybody looks toward expansion, and I think it's very easy to say right now, okay, well, hey, the Big 12 has to do something. Let's go do it. Go add some teams and play ball. Unfortunately, it is far, far more complicated than that. Max Olson has a great detailed piece. You can read the article by seeing the link in the description here, but it outlines a lot of really good stuff, including the fact that the Big 12 is, yes, thinking about expansion. Big 12 expansion has been a subject of internal conversation over the past month. The conference has already formed an expansion subgroup to lead the way, but this is only in preliminary stages right now. Nothing is imminent, to continue to use that word. Now, an issue here is going to be getting everybody on the same page to commit toward expansion. And when I talk about expansion being complicated, this is the first piece of it, okay? Basically, what you have is a bunch of teams and a bunch of schools that are trying to get into a Power 5 league, like a legit Power 5, maybe Power 4 moving forward league. So they want to keep their options open down the line. That means not totally committing to the Big 12. You want to be 1 foot in, 1 foot out there. This is not Facebook official relationship, right? More like a Tinder girl that you're talking to, and you want to keep that there if plan A doesn't work out. So that's a hard thing to do, to get those schools to commit. I'm quoting now from the article. Why go all in on expansion, especially if it means binding yourself to the Big 12 beyond 2025? There's no purpose in expanding if enough of the remaining 8 aren't looking to commit long-term right now. And the other piece that comes along with that is, if you can't get a commitment from all 8 right now, how are you going to sell other schools, especially other schools that would be toward the top of this list, right? Your UCF, Cincinnati, Boise State, schools like that. Are you going to be able to sell them on the Big 12 if they can look around and say, hey, not even everybody here is fully committed to this because they're waiting around for a Big 10, SEC, etc. offer here eventually? That's going to be tough. The other piece that makes this complicated is financial. And that is a simple principle here, and it came up in 2016 when the Big 12 explored expansion. If you add more teams, you're slicing that pie more ways. All of a sudden now you have to divvy up the money more ways. And this is at a time where the TV money is going to go down, and all of these athletic departments are staring budget cuts, and hard budget cuts, straight in the face. So Olson goes on to detail here, Bowlesby can offer years of smaller payouts to new members as conditions of joining, but the financial stress remains for the 8. They need moves that make them whole. So you've already got some schools waiting around, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Then you're going to have money concerns from other schools like, hey, if we add these teams, now we're going to have to split this pie more ways. We don't have the money yet on the exit fee from Texas and Oklahoma, and we don't exactly know what Texas and Oklahoma are going to do timeline-wise and when that money would be coming. So there are lots of moving parts here, lots of moving parts. Now, if you want some good news, the good news would be that it does appear the Big 12 is in a position of power above the AAC, which would make sense. We saw Sam Bradshaw's TV numbers on the channel earlier this week, which he did a great job outlining. That really helps show that the Big 12 should be in a position of power, also being that it's an Autonomy 5 conference. But Max Olson says at least 15 schools contacted the Big 12 to express interest in joining, most of them coming from the American Athletic Conference and Mountain West. So everybody on the, hey, Oresco's being quiet because he's plotting and scheming and real gangsters move in silence. Spare me, guys. You got AAC schools trying to jump to the Big 12. The article goes on to say leaders and supporters at those schools are working hard to lobby for their inclusion. They want to be in a Power 5 conference, which again is a big part of the appeal, obviously, for the Big 12. Now, as far as what the Big 12 would be looking for in potential members, a source tells Max Olson that if they do stay together, the focus would be on building the strongest football conference possible. BYU, Cincinnati, UCF, and Boise State would be logical targets if that's the plan. And for the Houston fans out there, there's this note. There seems to be serious reluctance about engaging with Houston, which dates back to the conference's unpleasant experience with UH board chairman Tillman Fertitta in 2016. So I've heard about some issues with Houston. You would think a lot of that is the Texas Tech, Baylor, TCUs of the world not wanting to elevate another Texas school, but it sounds like that is legit, that there is some resistance right now to Houston in the Big 12. Now, the final part that makes this all tricky and difficult is when does this actually happen? When are you actually able to add schools to the league? Because Texas and Oklahoma are still saying right now that they're going to be around until 2025, right? Can you add schools if Texas and Oklahoma will still be around? Olson reports that the Big 12 needs a supermajority, which would be 75%, to add schools to the league, and that Texas and Oklahoma, if they remain in the league, would still maintain their voting power. So you would basically, to ensure that you could add a team, have to get all 8 on board with all the issues that we've already discussed. And just with the money and splitting the pie, again, bringing teams in while Texas and Oklahoma is still in the league becomes more tricky. Here's a quote from an athletic director according to the story. There's not an answer to it yet. It's the right question to ask. I'm not sure any of the 8 ADs or presidents could tell you the answer to it right now. And that question being, can you go ahead and add with Texas and Oklahoma still in the league? And then on the other half of it, which nobody really talks about, is if you are poaching teams from the AAC, how long is it going to take to get them actually here, and how could they get out? Like, what will that look like on their end financially and timeline-wise? This cites the example of UConn, who was required 27 months' notice and a $10 million exit fee when they chose to leave for the Big East in 2019. Within a month, UConn was able to negotiate it down to 12 months, but had to pay $17 million. But this article notes, if some of the AAC's most valuable members attempt to leave, don't expect the same courtesy. Yeah, much like how the Big 12 has treated Texas and Oklahoma here, trying to hold their feet to the fire, you can bet that would be the same thing for Mike Oresco and the AAC. So, yes, expansion seems to be on the table. No, it does not seem to be a sure thing. There are a myriad of issues to get worked out before we even get to the debate about which schools it is that you would want to add. So there is a lot going on here, and we're not going to see the end of it anytime soon. If you have not subscribed to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it if you considered it. I talk college football every day on this channel. We're about to get more in the swing of actual football talk, obviously, with the season around the corner. But right now, it's conference realignment talk every day here as I cover the Big 12 and try to give the Big 12 a voice. Also, like and comment on the video. All of that stuff really does help me out. Follow me on Twitter at JL Kurtz. You can follow me on Instagram at John Kurtz Show. And if you want more content from me, you can find all of the links in my link tree, which is in the description of this video. That'll do it for me for now. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.